Yes, back to 1936. We know y'all love the year, so we're going to keep playing this year. This is going to be German build-up economic simulator game channel now for the future. Hello, everyone. How you doing? This is, of course, Gamer 1745, and I'm not sure we may just start a new series here. I don't know what we're going to call it. Last one was looking at Germany's economy, and we're going to be looking at Germany's economy and seeing how it's going. So it's going to be the same thing, but all over again. Again, if you didn't catch the PSA thing that I will be publishing before this about needing to check the 0 days, we'll get the super baddies out in the first here. About needing to, at the start of every game, enable historical, probably that. Yeah, let's just do that so we can do better invasions. If you want the historical unit spawn, you might not want that, but if you do want it, you better enable it. Okay, so we got to come over here. 38, 37, I'm just looking at things that are undone. And so yes, I am a little frustrated. Okay. And hello, King of Glory? Well, great. You're very good. Heinrich has 2 balls, but small, but Goebbels has none. Right. Okay. Yes, I can't like sing it, but I know of the song that that I think you're referring to. Okay. No, we don't want wood gasifiers. Okay, that's 35. Early tractors, farm output by 1, ration decay by 1. Okay, these are really good here. Improved smelting techniques, iron steel production, mineral resource extraction factor. I think we'll do this first. Let's come over here. Let's check out here because, okay, we have computing machines, base stability for 85 days. We're getting down. I know I went through all this just recently. Okay, production efficiency growth. There we go. There we go. Okay, any decisions we want to do now? No. Okay, let's see. Yeah. Okay, let's just guess at 1200. Oh, gotta do PP first. PP 1200. Again, if you didn't watch my previous series, is Gamer cheating now? No, I don't think so. I think I'm just correcting bad starts. I'm just going through here and going to go something of a more historically based thing, because Joseph Goebbels was the basic propaganda minister at the time. Domestic minister, I know we've sort of gone over this. I've got a lot going on in my life, people. I'm not going to get into all of it, but I would really like to make a mod based on Third Reich events that deals with ministers. I did actually make a minister's mod for Hearts of Iron 3 that gave a cabinet somewhat more like this. And I got through doing a lot of the majors, but I never got enough into the minors, minor nations. So I never released it properly, and it wouldn't. And don't even bother asking right now because, yeah, Minister of Congress is probably the because it wouldn't be playable with anything you were going to be playing now. The Great Week as Diwali and other things happen. Well, good. See, good. And what? Okay. Wilhelm Canaris, economics minister. Well, we're going to come in here and fix some of this stuff. Allowed, right? 2-year draft. Foreign recruitment. Average tariffs. High investment in education. That's police state. Yeah, we'll agree with police state. State press, basically. Extensive officer training. High standards. We're going to go down because this is basically a reserve army at this point in 36. Foreign investors regulated. That's historical. They were, we can look at Ford and GM here, very much so. Most industries nationalized. I'm going to, yeah, it's key industries at best were nationalized at this time. And we're going to go down to, which will go from 0.20% to 0.10%. At best, I would say it was early mobilization now. And not partial mobilization in 1936. Now, if we're talking 1938, yeah. So I think it was 37 or 38 that they started really introducing the draft again. I wish I remembered things like that better. Well, we're going to go with Siemens. We're going to go with Krupp at start. All right. Okay. I think that's going to get a lot of that. Well, that 1200 wasn't fair. It wasn't very wrong. All right. Let's increase our production ability here in Germany to, or not so much production, but that played historically, not cheating and simply enhancements. Yeah. That's, yeah, I'm looking at not cheating. That's not the point of me spamming in that stuff. It's to try to make things more correct. Restarted and starting a new series. Well, yeah, because things don't stay checked. Okay, so we need to okay, this is well, let's get what? All right, okay, this is for steel manufacturing. For aluminum. Here, so there we go. That'll get our 15 aluminum. Like I say, this is complicated. Now, I don't inherently mind complication, but okay, we can do this much. Oh yeah, it's 2 for 2. 18. And for synthetic, we can do 1 current maximum here. So I don't, like I say, don't mind it terribly much. Now I got to learn it, is maybe the Okay, they're not making steel yet. We may need some more iron. Well, back over here, let's see what we could do. Let's see if we can get 8 oil from Romania. Just, I don't think they're going to give us a huge amount, but... And I have learned you need to wait a bit for these countries like Sweden to start producing it. It won't be there at the beginning. And it takes a few days for it to show up, it seems. Who do we... Well, let's grab some from... So I think we're going to be needing it once we get going, so let's do that. I'm not exactly sure. Okay, let's do... No, I don't. To me, this looks like a button. Oh, yeah, here, okay, that. Add a unit, and we're going to put you over here. So that we are training up some units, but probably not enough. We'll see how all this goes. Let's look here at equipment. We're going to, I think, do we have any free factories? No. Okay. That's fine, I guess. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. That. Get the ones that are nearly done completed out and do that first. Move this way down to the bottom because it's hardly started. I don't really like that. I know it'll still be producing its single thing. Yeah, obsolete designs, but who cares? I really wouldn't mind them putting the less completed ones at the bottom of this list at the start. Not that they shouldn't be here. Totally get that they should, but just so that... Oh, okay. All right, let's see. Allocation and juggling of resources looks good. Looking forward to yeah, Hoffman. I do like it. It's. I guess my two concerns are, one, I don't know it well yet. Here. No, where am I? Oh, here. And we also have energy over here. I don't know it well yet, and I just don't know how well they've done balancing it all, because it's a whole new world, if you will. So let's go up a little bit faster here, but not terribly faster. So yeah, I do think that they're working on stuff. See, now I'm an American sync, so I have I as far as I know, is the World Cup is a bunch of guys in little shorts kicking a ball, and I have no more concern about it than that. Yeah, I think, well, airbase, Kriegsmarine, naval dockyard, shipyard. Well, let's do this first. Just get this 7 days out of the way. Oh, Cricket World Cup. Now that's a game I tried when I was living in Britain a few times to watch on the television, cricket, and to try to understand it, and I guess I can't. I guess it's we Americans left the British Empire before cricket, I think, existed. So we never learned it, and it is incomprehensible to anybody who did not grow up to it. So it is one of those things that you must learn at, I think, before the age of 1 to be able to understand it and how it goes. Okay, so we need a lot more steel. Do we have like Swedish steel yet? Okay. No, we don't. Okay, we're gonna wait a few more days for this. Losing fuel, so okay. But we're not even using any. Oh, we're getting none from Romania now. Okay, that ain't good. America, let's go with a couple of factories of fuel. Can go synthetic. Let's see, can we, they're just the 2 factories there. Okay, let's see. We can get more out from the iron now. You see that we had just had a 25 political power point, and we would not, if I didn't quote unquote cheat in the political power, we would have gone negative. And that's a bad mod design. That you don't want to design a mod that you can't have. Not you know, by players' actions, they may decide to not have the political power to do it, but okay, so we're still down 81 on steel. Where's Sweden? I was told that Sweden's going to start making steel. We'd be able to import it. Well, I don't see any yet. Okay, well, and over commando. Let's see. So we're now on the 9th. I still don't see a Swedish flag here. Okay, well, now we can import more iron from Sweden, which they, no, I don't want that. Let's go there. That won't be enough, but it'll be a little bit there. And we'll do that. Let's increase the speed a little bit more. Slowly gaining on oil, which for right now, in the use of civil factories, I'm sort of good with. Okay, let's do 2 more. I am a little concerned here that by taking all of Sweden's iron, they're not going to be able to make enough steel. So let's see about getting from, oh, let's go Luxembourg here. We're down by 8. We're down rubber. By 7. I thought we would get a bit more with that. Okay. Who do we want to get rubber from? Oh, the Netherlands. That sounds like a good source for rubber for us. Now, the question I have is, okay, so here we are running, well, total of 9 factories to produce, or to produce this steel here from this iron, okay? And we are running however many factories, 2 for this, and however many factories to import the iron versus just importing the steel, which might be more economical. Rugby's quite interesting. Yeah, rugby is what sort of football without the pads. Okay, I guess we're just going to do all of these because we're also gaining a research slot there before doing. I think they should. If I think they, you know, I don't know how these are really work. Are okay. Again, and I know I've explained this before, but I had one of the lead developers explain it to me. The concept of this, of the national focus. He explained it, and I don't think he was lying. So now, and of course, people can repurpose things. They don't have to keep with the original thing. But the idea of this national focus tree was 2 things. Was one, well, okay, was one is that you got to make choices. You can't have it all. You can't just go, I want all of this, because some of them are, and I understand the idea because it's, and he talked about, a good game design, is to make you make choices and not get all. So where do you want to put the emphasis on research? Panzer IIIs or Panzer IVs, which will, you can't do both. Now you can research both in the, through the research thing, and you can build both. But where do you want to put the focus on? Okay, and they're mutually exclusive. Can't do it all. So that was one of the reasons for this thing. The other one was very much was a roadmap. So if you wanted to get here, let's see what this is. Heavy tank destroyers and self-propelled artillery. I presume heavy for that. This is how, you could look up the tree and see how to get here. So it wasn't like, oh shit, I really wanted this. I didn't know I needed to do, light or medium or whatever. If it was just a decision or an event over here, because, see here, this is what we're doing. Okay, it's after February. We're not there yet, almost. Good. So that it was a roadmap with choices. Okay, I get that. I appreciate that. What German player is not going to hit this? Because, yeah, I get choices, but this is sort of like required. I mean, some of these here, treaty with USSR. Some of this stuff is very, very required. Kriegsmarine, well, if you're going to get, naval dockyards, whatever. Now, there can be choices, and also choices as to when you do it, emphasis, I do get that. But why would you have this here that is something that you want to do early and you're going to do it so that, and here again, if you want to do any of these things down here, research slot, it's almost required. So I don't know why these are even here as opposed to having them pre-done. And then you have this. I'd have to look at the exact dates. I think because we're looking at 3 weeks with this. Yeah, maybe that's almost right on the nose, but I would shorten this a little bit. Presuming players will get some of these things done first. And Hitler's speeches, whatever, 14 days. Now, if you're going to do something like this, as this one was 0 days, okay. So it unlocks that for 0 days. And that sort of works out. Hello, Sun Temple Radio. How are you doing? Okay, so we're going to come over here. And no, we're going to come over to recruit. And we're going to unlock the Watch Battalion, the Totenkopf Verband, and Wogen, which I think is maybe a little early for 36. But for those who don't know me well, I don't do things like remember exact dates just off the top of my head well. To me, history is cause and effect. This event happens. It's serial. And so I didn't do well in history in school because they wanted me to memorize, and they didn't. Because I vaguely remember, like in elementary school, that we had to memorize, names of battles or whatever in, the Revolutionary War, and dates and whatnot. And it was just almost literally that. And now in elementary school, I mostly had female teachers, so they were probably entirely uninterested in the topics. Oh, no, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to roll around here, but there. No. What is it? Okay, there we go. That's who I was looking for there. And so it was entirely uninteresting, where if the teacher had told me a story about the battle, told me the story of the battle, as it were, then it would have been an interesting thing, and I probably would have remembered it. But all they wanted to do, I know some people think teachers, well, today are maybe a lot more trash than they were back then. I don't know that they were bad teachers. It just maybe not their core. I thought there were 3 Totenkopf Band, or Standarta for that. Okay. Now these I would do Theodore Eicke, which doesn't seem to be in here. I don't, compared to some of these other SS generals. Well, Hessmeyer, I mean, he's entirely basically staff through this whole thing. If I'm thinking of the right Hessmeyer. Never a division or a corps or whatever commander. He significant rank, but he was in charge of the office basically. So going on. Yeah, yes, it got updated a few weeks ago. If that's what you're asking, it did. Not enough time, so you only get a synopsis from textbooks. If you want to know the history, you need to learn yourself. Well, absolutely, Sun Temple Radio. That's what I've done. But And again, I sort of can define the whole, everything in the world or knowledge or whatever is into math and not math. Math would be obviously math, and things like spelling is math to me. Anything that is a specific formula, but language is not math. So I am not good at math. I mean, it's a bit of a struggle. So memorization kind of thing. I really would love to be able to like quote movies and books and whatnot, and so remembering dates. Yeah, I got December 7th, 1941. I got June 6th, 1944 for D-Day. There are dates that I have that are hard coded into me, but most of it is all sort of relative, kind of thing. So we're going to do new theater here. Assess. Okay, and we're going to come down and come down, so we get all these guys into the SS. And do we have an SS? No. Overall leader? No. But, well, Hassmeyer probably would almost be it if we don't have a Himmler, which we really shouldn't. But, oh, well, all of you guys, come on, get under here. Oh, no. All armies that don't have divisions will be, okay. What did that happen? I put that, oh, shoot. Yeah, I'm not paying it. Are you sure? Yes, unassigned those divisions. Oh no. No, these are the ones I want to unassign. Yes, those we're going to create new. They're going to come down here. That's what I meant to do. But no. No, I don't care if he's got to travel. No, that's... Oh, come on, here. There we are. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. So yeah, so for a historian, it may not be the best thing. So, I don't remember a lot of details. When I need to know them, I look them up. That's why I live in a place filled with books. Okay. That gave us another research slot. All right, so now we have done these. That's good. Now we're going to do that. This new slot down here. All right, so we start with, and I think is appropriate, virtually, or if all of the World War I research and text done. And this is I really like this, people. I know that this is Black Ice, and I pick on Black Ice a lot. I do it out of love, not hate. But this is good because there are a lot of nations that did not go through World War One. Good example would be all of the Latin American nations. Also, yeah, Portugal was in it. Yeah, Portugal sort of kind of fought down in, what is today Mozambique, down there, and I think gave a few, few battalions or whatever for the front line or something, but hardly anything. Of course, Spain did not. The Netherlands did not. Good for them for not getting involved in World War One. This isn't a slam, but how much of the lessons of World War One did Norway learn? I'm sure they learned some, watching, paying attention, whatnot, but that makes a big difference for nations between nations who, were deep into World War One and nations that weren't. Yeah, we'll do this first. So I like that. I like that because in some ways, when you start particularly a lot of the base game, or I'm thinking right now of Hearts of Iron 3. You know, Afghanistan is starting at the same sort of level that a lot of these, Latin American countries are, or other European countries are in warfare, and it just is not, they're just so primitive compared to it. Now, tribal shooting at each other, they do pretty good. Pretty good. Okay, let's grab these 2 units here. We're going to create we're going to create a new theater. German Theater 1, well, we'll call it Spain. I have it already. And I know it'll disappear in a little bit. Oh, that's not spelled correctly. Even though I said it right. Oh, pause. Pause. I said fucking pause. That S-P-A-I-N. I didn't type it right. There we go. Trade mission. Okay. Prove that. Let's assign a general. Who do we want to do this time? Last time we did Guderian. Okay. Okay, there's Guderian. Let's do von Manstein this time, just to be different. So we'll put him in charge of our future push down into Spain. Okay, order Asteliguela. Yeah. All right. Get that going. That's what I missed last time. Scotland's Modern Times. Enter the Rhineland. Enter the Sandman. Hey, Rhaegar. Well, we're getting ready to occupy it. Winter Olympics, nice picture of the summer, but yeah, hey. League of Nations, yes. What would you, when France would send an army to fight Germany? Was that what would you do when France would send an army to fight Germany? I don't know. France is one of the massive France takes so much damage in World War I at so many levels. At so many levels. Germany takes as much or more damage, but I would say they're a combination of things. And again, because people won't watch everything, I am not a racist. I am a culturalist. I look at when you're looking, individuals are individuals. When I look at large group of people, because about what I'm going to say here in a minute, might seem might seem unpleasant to some modern people, but Individuals are individuals, but when you're talking about large groups of people, I look at their culture, and I really think culture is the primary determinant against or for different groups of people, because all people on this planet are not effing equal. Okay, and I think it's mostly cultural. And again, I'm looking at large groups, and there's people are obviously individually not equal. We got athletes. Not any proper level athlete, not whether you're talking professional or Olympic or whatever. Oh, they're much physically more fit than I've ever been in my life. Now I've been more physically fit than I am right now, but I've never been that. So, but even those people that really try to be physically fit, those proper athletes are a step above the rest of us normal people out there in athletic ability. So obviously there's difference is significantly difference on an individual basis, but on large groups of basis, I think it is cultural. I'm sure there are obviously genetic differences, but I don't know them, and I think they're minor about determining things. So I think Germany had still much more of the warrior, the German people had much more of the warrior mentality that France had been losing for some time. Because if you look at France in the Middle Ages, France in the Renaissance, they were pretty gung ho warriors, but they're losing it. So Germany, and we're talking the aftermath of World War I here. Germany had the blessings of being a bit more militaristic, a bit more warlike, a bit more violent-oriented culture, I would say, on the one hand. And two, they had the benefit of losing World War I. Now that is probably a bit more shock than winning World War I. But the shock of World War I to France is about as bad as it is to Germany, I would say. And they have reactions too. So France, France has been significantly divided since the French Revolution. Where like England, we can look. There's all kinds of fault lines in. Well, I should adjust in Britain. I should say. I try to use that language correctly. There's all kinds of fault lines in Britain. Some of them are along the different ethnic groups, but they're definitely traumatized over World War I, as all significant participants are. I don't know that Portugal was, like I was talking earlier. Few troops that got sent over to the West Front, I believe, and some colonial guys messing around out in the jungles in Mozambique. They weren't significantly disrupted by World War I. Now maybe the influenza pandemics that came across may have done that. So France has such trauma. They're just not willing to hardly do anything over things like potentially going to war over the Rhineland. So it's would you be able to stop France? Okay, yeah. Well, France, even because it's really more of this little area here. When France comes into the Saarland early on, while they're still fighting in Poland, France sort of stops themselves and goes back to its defensive line. So it's really this trauma. Oh, Singh got to go. Okay, thanks for hanging out, Singh. Have a good day, or good evening, I should say. French general. Well, there's the World War I mentality is definitely there too, Sun Temple Radio. But I'm talking more the psyche of the damage of the war than fighting mentalities of the war. And I would definitely say that France had the best army, the sort of super army to fight World War I. Now, unfortunately, in 1940 or 1939 or whatever date you want to throw at it, but unfortunately, they were fighting World War II, which being good at World War I and having tanks designed for fighting World War I doesn't necessarily help you that much in fighting World War II. So, there is definitely that element. And so this partially goes to Germany is Germany in the sense that they've lost World War One, so they've got to, they got the benefits of losing in that, okay, they've got to rethink the fighting strategies because obviously what they were doing in World War One isn't working. And two, like I say, they were still willing to charge into the guns, if you will, machine guns, rifles, whatever, where the French would have been, if you look at the French Revolutionary and the Napoleonic, columns of attack that they would use, charging literally straight into the face of the enemy's firepower, and often doing it very successfully and very rapidly. That elan was still there at the beginning of World War One. World War One sucks it out of them. I would say just about entirely. I'm sure, and I've read of a battalion here or a company there that was of regulars, not the mass conscription army, but the sort of professional regular soldiers that were doing against the Germans during the invasion. So you could still find the odd unit here or there that would, oh, hey, there's a bunch of Germans over there, and there's a hell of a lot of us. Oh, let's charge them. And there's machine guns firing at them, but they're still, whether successfully or unsuccessfully, however you want to determine the stuff, charging the enemy and going after them, and whether they should or shouldn't have been doing, again, that's another matter. But these are a few and rare units that would have that idea that there was, getting significant return enemy fire and being able to move into the face of it. And I'm not even necessarily saying they're taking like heavy casualties. My impression of France becomes by this war, and again, I'll read through Ragar's comment here in a bit. And it comes from propaganda. It comes from looking at the history that I have looked at. It's various things, so I could be wrong. But my impression is by the invasion of France by Germany, the French really wanted to either be on the defensive because it works damn well in World War One, or if they're going on the offensive, they want to sort of, shall we say, silence the enemy. Like, oh, there's machine gun fire over there. Okay, well, let's pour our mortar rounds, our light artillery, our machine gun fire on them, and snuff, not necessarily kill everybody, but, suppress it enough, and then we advance. Sort of, make sure that, the enemy is well suppressed, and then we can tear into them. And so they're willing to do that. Again, this is my impression of them, where the British, the Germans, they were still willing to attack into enemy fire. I'm not saying it's like stupidly, standing up in tight columns and going straight in and all getting mowed down or anything like that. But still, the idea of taking enemy fire and being aggressive against it while putting your own fire onto them, they're more willing to do that. And the French, the sort of mass conscript army, isn't, as far as I can tell. Okay. Oh, well, the radio edge, yeah, that was a major thing. I mean, we can look at all the multiplicity of effects for this. But let me read through Ragar's saying, well, the Germans, through conditions of peace, were made to destroy Germany, and renegotiation of peace terms is critical to Germany. So, yeah, they would fight, but the country is weakened and without resources. Do they even have sufficient internal resources to not lose against France? Well, yeah. There again, I see. The point is, France is not going to be able to advance the Maginot Line. It's built into place. When I think it was Hadler, but one of the generals contacts the British when they're doing the Munich conference, or earlier at Bad something or other. I don't think it's on this map, that they're negotiating, not Baden, but one of the other spa towns, that Chamberlain is bouncing back and forth trying to deal with the stuff. One of the generals, and I think it was Hadler, talks to one of the British counterparts and says, "Look, go to war over the Sudetenland, and if you make a vigorous attack offensive, we will do a coup against Hitler and take him out and the Nazis. So he's basically coming, and now I think this, obviously there's not a lot of, historical records of it. There's people after the war coming out because they wouldn't necessarily come out prior to the war talking about this. But I think this is a real event that happened. And I don't think it's just propaganda. But but the idea here is if you declare war against Germany, France and Britain, and then just sit in your trenches, they're not going to do anything. It needed a vigorous push for them to do something. Britain, I would say, still has the wherewithal to do it. France doesn't, and so it's sort of like, does it matter? If you had been able to spend, okay, I'm adjusting it, 6 hours. If I had gotten, the French, the Grand Armée or the Armée of England that was getting ready to invade England. It doesn't happen, but and that's the army that eventually marches into Paris. If I'd gotten 6 hours to train that army in how using bolt action rifles and a few guys into training some light machine guns, and I got that army literally in those uniforms and those boots, and just the idea of, instead of standing mass together, let's because they know how to do columns, let's do open columns, or open, not columns, you know uh lines, line ahead formation, um but do open lines, sort of like you're skirmishing, and use your bolt action rifles. Yeah, I think that army, Napoleon, with those generals, literally those generals doing those sort of tactics. Yeah, I think in 1936, yeah, I think they could defeat Germany. That army could, with just literally like 6 hours of training on a bolt action rifle, a Lebel rifle, or the Mas 36 rifle, and some guys learning how to use whatever, light machine guns. Yeah, that army, even with Germans artillery and whatnot, that army would have the balls to do it. The French army in 1940, no, just no. Okay, let's continue here. The Winter Olympics, well, great. Okay, we can do a spy operative. Let's see. The seducer and escape artist. And the operation intel extraction rate. Okay. We'll do her because we're going to mostly just use these as anti-spies, but okay, okay, let's take a look here. Some of these I think, yeah, I think we're going through the process on. Foreign investment regulator. Okay, we've gotten that. Yeah, we're still doing early mobilization. That's why we're, I think, still losing our stability here. Again, I would say we should start at early mobilization. Sign the treaty. Yeah, okay. Remilitarization of the Rhineland. Very good. Okay, so we've got the Rhineland. We could open state affairs, which would add stability, but we're hoping that we're doing with going back to a more peaceable army. Autarky 35 days. You know, I think we're going to, well, 13 days. That's going to tempt me enough. Let's get that going. And then thinking of that, let's come up here. Okay, which we should have done this, but we're just jumping out so fast. Okay, we don't have nearly enough steel here. Oh, I thought we got most of that fixed. Now can we? Okay, now there's Swedish steel. Okay, so it's shown up now. So this is costing us 4 factories, where if we were to get enough here, oh, we're not getting, well, let's dump this. Okay, now we're getting some more military ICs. Why doesn't the Rhineland give us naval dockyards? Wonder. Okay. Looking at both production numbers and our delinquencies or deficiencies, I should say. Okay, we could use more uniforms. That's one thing that we sort of needed in our last big playthrough. Uniforms, garrison equipment, and yeah, okay. Well, I think we're already producing some of those, so let's find them instead of, okay, garrison equipment, let's add a factory. Field uniforms, let's add a factory. Support equipment, let's add a factory. All right, we got 1 factory left we can allocate. I think we'll do horse transport. Still not sure that horse transport is a good idea. Yes, I know that that does take manufacturing ability, but I don't know. I just don't know if that really adds anything to the game. Hello, Brian. How you doing? Let me read your thing here in a moment. Okay. So we need a little bit more. Let's see if we add that. We might be able to add. Well, let's just go to that. So now we got 24 over. So let's come down. Let's step. I guess that's about as close as we're going to get to parity. Wanted to stop in and see how it was going, but have to run out. Okay, but thank you for the message there and stopping by. Hopefully you can watch. Yeah, forward to watching later. Thanks, Brian. Horses pull all the supplies till enough trucks. Yes, Sun Temple. And I guess my point is, do we have historical evidence enough that it's a deciding factor? Meaning, getting the supplies from the railhead, from here to wherever they're fighting, as well as the necessary horse-drawn units for this thing. Should that, is that something that needs to be, is the manufacturer, and I also understand, now, see, I don't know that industrially there's much for the horse. And, I'm sure there is a certain amount of, and we're talking the same type of factories that make automobiles, that make rifles, that make, tanks and aircraft. to make a horse. There isn't a lot. And to my knowledge, the main bottleneck is the horses themselves, not the wagons to pull them. And so I don't, and they're, and if you look at the old Hearts of Iron 3 game, they definitely had horse effects by controlling certain territories in the game that would give you lots of horses. Horse country kind of thing in certain places. So, that's the question, is that equipage. Yeah, there's going to be a metal tire. That's what they're called on the outside. What you might call a rim, but on the outside of the wagon wheel. So there's metal tires there. There's other metal pieces. Could be metal springs if it's a spring-loaded wagon, but a lot of them weren't. But there's some metal there, yeah, and there's some metal in the stuff, and then there's wood. But and is that really a factor that should be modeled into the game, as opposed to just how much of these things do you need, either for an infantry division to have a few trucks, or a motorized division to have lots of trucks. And if you don't even have enough of this, even in this kind of division, it's a negative effect. So I just don't know that horse transport like that is part of the decision on how many panzers we make, because again, I think it's more horses. And B, could that just simply be modeled in with various effects? Wagons should be spring-loaded, otherwise they can cause bone fractures when they hit holes in the road. Cargo suffers. Okay, well, no. Well, yes and no. A lot of wagons would only be sprung for the seats. The basically two people sitting up front that would be handling the horses, and a lot of the wagons would not be sprung in the back, at the axles. And so that little bit of metal spring at the seats. But even then, you have to look at the German infantry wagon, the German World War II wagon. Let me do this right now. I want to do this. I don't know if this is good TV or bad TV or whatnot, but I'm just alt-tabbing over. I don't know the model number. German WW2 WAGON. So they did have a specific type of wagon. I'm going to go for images here and look and see what it is for modeling here. Okay, here's a good example. No, they did not have, as far as I can see, springs. The sort of standard built wagon. That isn't very good. I thought I was clicking on something like more. Oh, well, where it was. But they're not showing me what I want to see. Okay. No, not a Volkswagen. Let's see this. German field wagon kit, same kit. Nope. It looks like no springs on the axles at all for the standard German military wagon. No springs on the seat. So nope. They probably had a metal axle, but I'm not even sure on that. I'm sure it was metal at the point where the wheel goes around. But they were not sprung at all. The standard sort of field wagon. So no, it doesn't look like rubber. They wouldn't have spared rubber on this. Rubber's too dear. Well, now, and I'm looking at literally like stuff from museums that have real World War II standardized wagons. Now, some here, what I'm looking at, is made out of metal and it has air inflatable rubber tires kind of, on it, not the spoke wheels. But, spoke wheels, generally speaking, are going to be using metal tires. That's what it's called. I mean, we sort of call them rims today, but the metal tires. Yeah. And it looks like the axles are wood on them. And there's definitely metal pieces attached here and there. But yeah, so again, the amount of manufacturing, and now, you know, we can talk quote unquote game balance and how many. Yeah. Now, now maybe one of these things represents a hundred wagons. Let's just see how many wagons. Oh God, 330 for division. 330 for division, and one factory makes one a day approximately here. I know we've added one and whatnot, and it's not fully. That should be 10 a day for the amount, because that's all. I mean, we're talking about small bits of metal. The tires are the biggest metal thing on there, and we're talking about bits of metal at where the swivel point at the front wheels go up to the wagon, at the actual the bearing surface as the wheels go around on the axle. But all the rest of that is wood. And yeah, some of the bigger, heavier wagons, and yeah, they did make some metal wagons with rubber tires, but those are small as percentage. So see again and again, raising horses doesn't need a lot of industry. Yeah, and a lot of their food can be off-cast, like silage, which is sort of stored away parts of like the corn stalks that aren't they take the ears of corn off and whatever. So it's a lot of stuff that is not eaten by humans but comes from human farms for humans. So it's sort of extra material. So you don't necessarily have a field out here growing food for humans and a field out here growing food for horses. You just have a field that's growing corn, and you harvest the corn, and you save a lot of the stalks and whatever to feed to the cattle, horses, cows, whatever. Um, and it's manpower or woman power to raise those things, but it's not a lot of industrial power. And I'm sure you could point to me, oh, well, here's this big train load going choo choo choo, moving a bunch of food across Germany, in peacetime to feed some horses. Yeah, I'm sure that happened. But most of it's going to be localized to the horse and not transported a third of the way across Germany. Food now, feeding Berlin, maybe buying a bunch of corn down here and putting it on a train to going to Berlin. But I'm going that it's not so much. Wow, bumpy ride. Yeah, when can you do the next AA upgrade? I don't know, Arno. We're not worrying about AA just yet because it's just 1936. Actually, I found an old picture of F1 and it looks like it uses some kind of plate springs in the back. Eat the leftovers. Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, and there may be some, because I was looking at some of the stuff that to me didn't look like it was sprung, but I could be wrong. Don't drink the tap water. There are brain controlling microchips. So you can get into space as test subject. Okay, Tyrant Soul. That's not terribly helpful. I mean, it's not. Uh, Whatever. Who's tap water? What tap water that has it? Yeah. And so, and it can vary by the wagon type, I'm sure. Well, this shouldn't be Spain, but no, we might not have Dietel yet. I don't know. No, that's not Dietel. There's Dietel. We'll put him in charge of our mountain division or brigade. So I'm going that I'm going to state that at least, and I can change my mind, but wagons are an unnecessary element to it, because I don't know who out here isn't going to be making enough wagons, and it's going to be more horses, and horses are not industrially dependent. So you can change the supply from horses to trucks on individual divisions if you want. Well, what you can, I don't know entirely all of this stuff, but I do know what you can do is you can come here and you can go here in this hub. This is motorization level, is right now horses. And I don't know if it uses up any, I don't think it uses up any wagons. Or you could change it to motorization, which uses up trucks, heavy trucks. Or you can do it sort of heavy truck mobilization and then go back to this. So we can see here the three different. So that's truck usage. I think here is just a per unit fixed equipment. Now, so here you're saying there's no wagons because it's a garrison unit. Don't know why garrison wouldn't have a few wagons if you're being pedantic about it. And yeah, but this can just simply be this type of unit moves at speed Y, and this type, because it's a garrison unit, because it wouldn't naturally have had a lot of wagons, and this unit moves at speed X because it would have a lot of wagons. I don't think this is a helpful factor until you can show me in World War II where they didn't have enough wagons and it was a production issue. Because like I know from reading about the Peninsula War and including reading the Sharps novels as well as reading or watching the Sharps TV series, they've come out with a new Sharps novel. I like that stuff. That and also reading actual history too. That Wellington had a severe transportation problem, and a lot of the transportation was being supplied by Portuguese and Spanish people with carts, two-wheeled wagons without metal tires on them, and it was terrible. And they couldn't get enough supplies, and these things were falling apart as they were moving along the terrible roads or non-existent road, just sort of tracks, things you would hardly call a road. It might be labeled as a road, but I'm not even talking about a smooth road. I'm just talking about some vague sort of track pathway kind of thing, that they were falling apart. But I don't think the issue was at all the ability to have enough, produce wagons in Britain. It was the problem of transport, of neglect, of planning. Back at Horse Guards, it's sort of the equivalent of the Pentagon back in those days for the army in Britain. So maybe just nobody was planning well to send them out there. Maybe the Royal Navy couldn't escort more convoys to get down more wagons, or maybe they just didn't hire enough ships to bring wagons in. So, and they actually, both Napoleon's side and Britain, they're developing more modern wagons for military logistical purposes. But I don't think I think it's a problem out in the theater. So you might be able to point to me, oh, Stalingrad surrounded, or out here they didn't have enough wagons. Well, that doesn't mean they don't have enough wagons freaking sitting back in Germany. It's because it's way out in some, hard to get to places that might have a similar thing. But if you could point to me that regular units were affected, not by lack of horse transport. Now I know that they gave up as they were retreating in various places. Um, Perfectly serviceable, like the Flak 18 or other 88 millimeter guns, because they were cheaper to produce if you just produce the gun and the basic, the gun without this sort of triangle shaped, um, I want to say tripod, but triangle shape mounting base on it. Just produce it and then just have a little, just go in and pour some concrete and have a little, mounting point on it. Much cheaper to produce that way. And so you didn't have all, as well as the wheels that would attach to the, to the mounting base to move it. So they just put all these things out there. And sure, the Germans obviously got the guns and putting them in place. And if they wanted to switch them under normal thing, well, they could lift, one up, find a local truck, a local wagon or whatever, move it to another location, and move like each gun at a time, like one a day, and get it to a new, anti-aircraft position to defend against another factory or whatever it might be, different strategy. But to withdraw them all at once in the face of an advancing enemy, and of course Hitler and others would demand that they didn't do it because Germany's going to hold the line, don't be defeatist, and you move them out early enough. So the last moment they didn't have enough, that they might have been able to, if they could put them all on wagons and haul them out, they might have been able to save them and use them as anti-tank guns or artillery or anti-aircraft guns. They just had to abandon them because they couldn't move them. That's because it's a garrison unit that doesn't have wagons, and that would just be, replicated in movement rates for the garrison unit. Okay, individual. Okay, trucks broke down, so a horse never left. Yeah, Spain, the two wheelers. They have bottom build quality. Napoleon also had trouble mountains. Absolutely, everybody in Spain had trouble, even the Spanish. Nice to have a road. So yeah, so I'm just I'm looking at that. There was once a joke by us wanting more details in HOI IV, a joke by one of the devs. What are we doing? A DLC or something, quartermaster simulator, production of buttons, for uniforms. Well, yeah, but you can make cloth buttons, purely just as simply a knot of cloth that you would button up a field jacket that would actually be as secure as a plastic or wooden or metal button. So you don't necessarily have to make buttons. Buttons are never really the failure point. The failure point is, and if you notice, including in the German army and in the Western armies, using less and less cloth for the uniform. You can look particularly at the Eisenhower jacket, which the Germans did sort of copy. I think it starts with the British. But, having a jacket that just goes down to the sort of your waist or your belt line of your pants instead of overlapping your pants, that is not primarily done as a stylish thing or even as a, freedom of movement, in stressful situations or something, that is done as a cloth saving measure. So cloth production is maybe a failure point, not buttons that I will because not all the SS have to have shiny silver buttons on their uniforms. We will activate this, get that going. So yeah, I think I'm gonna complain a bitch about the wagons a bit, but it's not something that it's just an unnecessary detail. Quality control improvements, very good. That is maybe not good to have. All right, we're going to do dispersed industry. Well, hold on. Okay. Pause. Well, this episode has gone on long enough, probably too long. So I want to thank you all for watching. Thanks for liking. If you haven't already, of course, please subscribe. See you next time for more, yes, even more Hearts of Iron.